Hi, this is Bill Conrad, and we're just going live. We're doing a behind-the-scenes recording of Timelines of Success. Frank Orcino, did I say your name? Frank Orcino.
Just right.
Frank Orcino. And Frank and I met at Toastmasters. He and I both live in Reno, and I guess you're a transplant from California like I am here.
Yes.
Has anybody given you a hard time?
No.
Okay. Anyway, as we get ready for the...
Not yet.
Now, you know what? I haven't had a hard time either. I think people are, even in Las Vegas or in all of Nevada, there's so many people who've moved to the state that the people who've been here since their 1800s are just used to it.
Yeah.
I really do believe that.
Yeah, I think people get some heat when they go from California to Oregon.
Oh, but, definitely.
Nevada's fine.
Definitely. So we're going to go right into the show, and then afterward we're going to talk a little bit more detail online on the Google Hangout and the YouTube production that we're doing behind the scenes. So our color, we tried something a little new today. We put our lights down, we changed our light a little bit, a little washed out and back, but it looks good. Frank looks great. And I don't have the bags either. I got the glasses though.
Yeah.
So here we're going to go live here. One last test. We got this going. And that's actually the podcast. Normally I'd have another backup. Frank, want to do a quick sound check? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Perfect. Man, we're perfect.
We're good.
Actually, sometimes I can do that in 3 to 5 minutes. I took a little bit longer post-show with you because we're messing around. I apologize on that. So let's get right into the show. I'm going to pull up my questions. And Frank, welcome to Timelines of Success.
Thanks for having me.
You know, it's great to have you here. We met at Toastmasters, and I was so impressed with your 6 minutes little spiel that you were forced to do. I don't know the whole story because...
I attended. I hadn't been in, probably 6 months.
Wow.
Ray Roach just said, you need to be here tonight. We have limited attendance, so I was there. And 2 minutes before the first speaker, he says, you're speaking. I said, okay. And he said the same thing with Dr. Clearfield, and we were both taking notes. I was ready first, and I'm glad because we're here today.
That 6 minute speech, I wish I had heard that and paid attention to it when I was 23 years old.
Me too.
So that's a good start, good introduction. So tell us about what you do now, and then we're going to talk about how you got there.
Okay, great. I'm an independent financial consultant. I'm the president of Hakim Capital here in Reno. Our office is downtown at the 8th floor of the Wells Fargo building. And that's what I do right now. My wife and I have a practice.
So tell us more about the practice. What exactly services you provide?
Well,
and when did it start?
My partner, Tom Hakim, is a very large influence in our industry. He's been doing this for 33 years. And I've always been the type that'll seek out people that have been doing it longer than me, better at it, and I've always had good partners. And about 5 years ago, I started working with Tom, and I went to a conference that they picked the top 100 advisors in the country, and he was the keynote speaker. So at the end of that weekend, I realized that I needed to start making some changes. At the time, I had a busy practice in California. We had 30 advisors, and we're doing quite well. But when we came back to California and had a post-meeting after the Las Vegas trip, we said we need to start doing some things differently. And Tom actually would help us out over the phone. And once we got to a certain level, we could partner with him. And we do things a little bit differently than most financial planners, consultants. I think our motto pretty much is it's not what you have, it's who you are. And we're big on relationship building, and instead of just looking at different kinds of accounts and how we can do better, we have to find out the reason why we would do any changes with the people. Most of the people we're working with are doing quite well, and our challenge is to make a good situation better. So we have to get a lot of information, and a lot of it doesn't have to do with finances.
What does it have to do with?
Well, and this is what the main thing I've learned from Tom is people's portfolio, etc. You think there can be effects from disasters like 9/11 or the stock market crash in 2008. What really affects your finances is life changes, a divorce. Anybody have children? There's a financial, could be a burden. Sickness, taking care of a autistic child or grandchild. Having mom move back with you. The granny units are an all-time high being built. You've
right,
been in that
we watched
industry.
those. I was actually building when that was occurring and the laws changed where you were allowed to build the grounding flats. In fact, I designed that. That was a great business in itself.
Yeah.
That's a good. That reminds me of interesting times.
Yeah, all sorts of different changes that people weren't really ready for. In other words, the old days, we went to school, you got a job, got married, got the house, had 2.4 kids. You worked at the job for 30 years, which is called a career.
Right.
Then you have a pension.
You're describing the Great Generation.
Yeah, this is this American dream.
Right. We're the baby boomers.
Correct.
We're a little different.
And that was the plan.
Yeah.
And then you retire and you get 80% of your income. You got Social Security now and Medicare or Social Security picks up the lack of income and everything's great. Well, now we've turned into a thing called unretirement. It happened in 1978, the start of it all, called the ERISA law. That's where 401ks and IRAs were born. And it's the first time Americans were personally responsible for their financial future. And just to let you know, we were never financially educated.
No, we weren't. The baby boomers who were the greatest generation were our parents, didn't have to really educate because they had that system in place when they came back after the war.
And they paid cash for things.
And they definitely, because they come out of the recession, the depression, excuse me, and their parents taught them not to borrow.
Correct.
A lot. They did. I mean, my family did, but they did it for business.
Yeah.
But they're very frugal.
And things changed.
But they did well.
Yeah. So speaking of the baby boomers and their parents paying for things that they could afford, the thought of credit or going into debt, et cetera, wasn't in the vocabulary. Now it's a common place. You have children. I do too. If you want something, you're going to buy it because you got a credit card now. And credit cards weren't even on the planet until 1959, about when we were born.
Right, and even then, I guess the first cards were some of the diners cards of some sort.
Yeah, great story with that. The very first credit card was the Diners Club, where they would give you a card for these wealthy people.
Like scripts.
And it was a thing where it was kind of neat to have one, and instead of paying cash, you had this card. Well, the Diners Club felt that, okay, these people with money, they're going to pay their bill. And if they didn't, there was a small finance charge attached to it. Well, they started making money. Bank of America got the idea in 1959, came out with a card called the Bank America card, and they timed it perfectly. In a town called Fresno in California, every household in November 1959, before Thanksgiving, I'm getting passionate hitting the...
He's passionate, yeah.
When it talks about debt, trust me...
Frank is passionate. This is good.
I have very passionate about this debt thing because I've seen what it did to the nation and what it's doing to our kids right now. But all the households in Fresno got a card in November right before Thanksgiving with, I think, about a $2,000 limit. And it was called the Great Fresno Drop. And 70% of the people, by the time Christmas time came around, maxed out their cards. And the credit card boom hit the nation, and we've seen what it's done.
That's Bank of America, huh?
Bank of America started it, and you know how it is now.
They were small back then. They weren't as mega bank as they are today. They were big, but not as big as they are today.
That was their big push, as far as I've heard.
Really big revenues, right? Yeah. Wow, that's an interesting story. I never heard that before in Fresno, because Modesto is where I spent a lot of my time after leaving active duty, Central California, building houses. Interesting. Wow. So interesting timeline. So that's your business, your products, your clients. Who are your clients?
Our target market is people, families with parents typically between age 60 and 75, sometimes 78, the baby boomers.
So why did you go into the profession you're in?
Wow. How much time do we have?
Well, we're going to start going backwards on your timeline. You're a physical therapist. I found that up pre-interview. That which I like. I think that's a neat field to be in.
I was a physical therapist for 24 years, and I was treated that job as a career. As a part owner, I was a small owner with the company, and I was good at growing the business. And when I started with the company, we had 3 offices, and by the time I was done, we built up to 18 offices, and we were going to go public. So that was my retirement.
Were those in the Bay Area?
Bay Area, mainly Santa Rosa, San Francisco, San Jose, Redwood City.
All nice areas.
Very nice, and it was doing extremely well. We had some offices in California as well. And there was a thing that...
Wait a second, pause.
Yes.
We had some offices in California.
Yes.
Those are all California cities.
Oh, okay, got it.
That didn't make any sense.
We had some offices...
I'm going to edit that out.
Thank you.
That out.
Yeah,
So
good
you get to see
pickup.
behind the scenes, so the people who really are hardcore, they go online and watch this.
Okay. So where were we?
So we had some offices in California.
Yeah, our offices were all in California, and we had 2 large offices in the LA area.
Got you. So you're all in California and then in LA. In some ways, California's 45 million person state.
Gigantic.
It's a country in itself, and you only have to deal with one set of state laws.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you're here in Nevada right now, so we'll figure out how you got that transition. But that's not a bad point, actually, when you build your company, is to really focus at being successful in one state.
Sure.
And maybe I'm learning that lesson as we speak right now, because we're licensed in 2 states as brokers, which is unique.
Yes, and I'm licensed in California as well, and it's different. So back on how I got into my career, we were about to go public, and this was about 16 years ago. Managed care hit, and we started losing a lot of contracts, and at the time, our physical therapists were seeing maybe 8 or 10 patients a day. And now there's reduction in payments. Mm-hmm. We ended up having to see, 4 or 5 patients an hour versus 1 or 2, and it got extremely competitive and busy and more paperwork. Well, the bottom line is we went from 18 clinics down to 10 right away, down to 5, back down to 3. There went my retirement.
So things that were out of your control, which was,
yes.
Was it a change in law?
Change in payment, just put it that way.
The insurance company changes the process, or
right.
Insurance expanded.
Yes.
So another thing the baby boomers really didn't have is the comprehensive insurance programs that we've had over the last 10 or 15 years.
Sure.
So that changed.
Yeah.
What brought that about?
What brought I can't really pinpoint that, but it's very complex. Mm-hmm. And with the healthcare industry, there's a lot of press about what's going on with the Obamacare, et cetera. It's been going on for 30 years. It's a broken system.
I know people look back at Kaiser as being the start of that kind of where businesses.
They were the model.
Yeah,
and insurance companies took that model and saw where it was going to be more profitable and less expensive for certain things, and it took over the country.
That's history in itself. Now, the baby boomers having to deal with that, of course, as they get older, which their parents didn't. And then the younger generation right now must be saying, what's going on?
Yeah.
We could talk about that indefinitely. So basically, because of change in culture, laws, and process within the city, you had to shut down a business.
Yeah.
That happened to a lot of people in my industry, construction design build in 2007 and 8 in real estate.
Yes.
We survived. We didn't. It happened because I was also deployed in the military.
Yeah.
So maybe I got some luck, but we saw it coming and we're trying to prepare for it.
Yeah. So my story is that was going to be my retirement. In fact, I'd already thought about the houses I was going to retire in and where we were going to travel, et cetera. I would be retired easily by age 50. I'm 55 now.
Did the business eat up a lot of your cash at the end as you start downsizing?
Very much so.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to all participate. Basically, I got to keep a good job, which was good. My boss was great. It wasn't his fault either. But the plans were to sell the whole thing to a large corporation, and it didn't pan out. So I had to start learning about money and how money worked. I didn't come into this business being a hotshot expert financial consultant because I'd learned it all my life. I had to relearn it. And I started searching, teaching myself, learning how money worked, went to different seminars, etc. And I met this one gentleman that I went to his seminar, and after the seminar met with him, and I basically told him, I don't have much money to invest, but I came here to really learn. He says, I'll meet with you. And he spent about 5 hours with me and really taught me a lot of things and made some changes that really helped. And he scared me on the second visit. He said, I've analyzed some things. He said, if you want to retire at your lifestyle at age 65, you're going to need to put in about $3,000 or more a month into your 401k plan. I said, well, where's that coming? I'm already working 6 days a week and working on the convalescent hospitals certain Sundays. He said, well, I've got a couple ideas. And what he did is he saw I was good with people. He saw something in me. He said, you should do my business. I'm going to show you how to get licensed in a few things and do this part-time, in the evenings and on the weekends. And I said, okay, because I analyzed how we could do some things on my time, etc. And in 14 months, I was doing better part-time with financial consulting business than a salary. Plus, I learned a great lesson from him about being in business for yourself.
Right. Now, when you had your company going with all those offices and you had a good, solid, positive cash flow, what were you doing with the profits?
Saving.
It was back then before you were saving.
Yes.
That's good. You had that going for you. You weren't reinvesting. You'd stopped at some point and started building back.
Right. What we would do is we had 3 partners in the physical therapy business, and we would save our money to put into the next office. We were getting an office about every 6 months.
I got you expanding it, putting it back in your company. So when it started turning down, it's very difficult. You're having to go now to a consolidation,
right?
Preserving capital and systems and processes. Yeah. Interesting story. So, as we finish up the first phase, I'm going to ask you to go over that little speech you gave at Toastmasters, the best possible. We can condense it to 2 or 3 minutes. But there's some elements in there I really liked. I remember someone said something about having to get such and such a return.
Right.
And you said, no. What were the elements of that speech? Can you give those?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. It was like 4 days ago.
You're right. Yeah. Just the basic elements. They really hit home. I could go.
The people.
I recorded it not well, but
The people that we're working with, typically we work with a certain demographic, certain amount of net worth, married between ages of 60 and 75 or so. Typically they're doing pretty well. And what's familiar in investing isn't always right. What's right isn't always familiar. And that's what we're very good at. So it comes to a certain point when you are saving for retirement. Typically you're working and you're saving for retirement. There comes a point when you do retire, you're not contributing to those accounts. It's time to start conserving. And Tom is really good about this in these seminars we do. He's a world-class public speaker, professional, and is a tyrant. I wouldn't say tyrant, but he's big in our industry. And he'll look at the population that were at the restaurant, the people that's sitting there, and he flat out asks them, "Why are you here? We know pretty much about your net worth. Why did you come tonight? You could definitely afford a dinner at Rapscallion. It's a beautiful Thursday night. What'd you come for? To get the hot stock of the night or whatever?" And he also brings up a point that why is everybody continuing to grow money? See, that's familiar. Getting the interest rate. Then getting this one account. How can you do it better by going to the next guy? And the next guy can do something different. So our message is we really need to know our people on why we would do certain advice, on how we would make any changes. So back to the life changes and knowing about their family, we need to prepare for a lot of things in the future with clients and not worry about their 0.5% CD, how we can get them 1%. That's immaterial. As we were taking a drive today, when we meet with our clients and we've got a full fact finder, we have got to know them and their family. By the time it comes to the financial products, that's the easy part. A lot of times they don't ask even what companies we're working with because they know the plan that we're doing is suitable for them. Or they don't have to go check out the company. They know that we have their best interest in mind. And it's a great way of doing things. It takes longer. But we've found in our industry less is more. Tom and I have discovered that. Typically, how we're taught in our business, Bill, is sell more faster. Okay? Sell more faster.
That's the model.
That's what the company wants. Just get more money into that company.
Right.
We're doing less, meeting with less people, but doing more. Because if we're staying with a client and doing good service, and I gave you a brochure, and I was reading it this morning, reviewing it, and I'm going, you know what? It is an advertisement that we give it on seminars, but I was reading it this morning and saying, we do everything that's in that brochure. So, excuse me. As far as less is more, if you're doing the right thing with your client and staying with them and answering the phone call and meeting with them when they need to, when they get an inheritance or there becomes a life change and they want to go on a vacation around the world and want to know which account they should take from, we're going to be the ones they go to. So we have, in Detroit, I think they've got 4 generations of clients. I've been here for 5 years. We're working with our clients, and now we're working with their kids. And the neat thing about it, and it took a while, is now we're getting a lot of referrals. Because typically our marketing has been the seminar, where we do the dinner seminars.
Right. Now, I remember we're sort of tight in time in the first phase, but I remember the two other points I thought were real critical. You talked about losses.
Yes.
I've taken some horrific losses on my outside investments outside of my company, even within my company, because we on land and in holding costs, things like that, we made some losses. But really, looking back, I would be more cautious to avoid losses. At 57, I'd say don't take certain risks. I hate that's just contrary to what a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people say. Yeah. But because certain losses, certain risks are so devastating that it takes you a long time to recover.
Yes.
And then you can't do those things.
Right.
To be a good entrepreneur, which I like to do, doesn't take a lot of money. But
right.
You've got to work within your framework, your network. You don't want to get into debt. You want to get out of debt.
I think the message that...
but you don't have to take a lot of risk.
You don't have to. You can calculated risk with some.
Remember what you said about the stock market? That one example, the 30-some-odd%. What does it take to recover from that?
That was
30% loss.
That's where I think your ears perked up that night, is losses hurt you more than the gains help you. Ever.
Yeah.
Losses hurt more than the gains help you. So if you take $100,000 and you lose 30%, and that's happened quite a bit, what do you have left over? You have $70,000 left over. So you lost 30%. How do you get back to the $100,000 in 1 year? You got to gain 30%. No, because you're working with 70,000.
Right.
So mathematically, you have to gain 43% to get back to even.
And then you might take more risk, which could even put you more in a worse shape. So
correct.
It's not a good formula.
Not a good formula. So losses hurt you more than the gains help you. And the stock market, I think, has lost over 30%, 16 or 17 times. How many times has it grown 43%?
Never. Right.
Never.
And that's a good point. I'm big into numbers, probability. Yeah. I'm a big probability guy. That's what I took in college at West Point. Probability, a lot of probability. And you know, I'd never realized what you just said. That was, if I just realized that one phenomenon or understood that one line.
It's great math. And as we get older, and we're not going to go back working for that money, you want to get more conservative.
That was the second half, and we'll finish up. That point was really good about how you get older and your money is spent. That was really good, and it should give people hope in some aspects.
Okay.
The other hope I want to give people too is, if you're a baby boomer, there's a lot of ways to make money now that didn't exist 20 years ago. There's
Definitely.
Other professions. We're living longer, healthier. That's why we just did a show yesterday on focus on your health. No matter if you're broke or not, you can still focus on your health. You can still do the right things.
You can control that.
You can eat right. You can exercise. Try to get the fish oils. And it might cost you a little bit more to eat right, but just do it because you'll save so much more in the long run with your health.
It's less expensive being healthy.
You got to be healthy generally you have to be healthy to run a business.
No doubt. I treat this business like a professional sport. I'm a former collegiate athlete, played college basketball, etc. For example, when you were wanting to get me something more to eat this morning, I had my pregame meal because this is like a professional sport to me. That's how I treat it. Because if you're dealing with...
Well, it's an apple.
Banana. Some nuts.
I offered you an apple nut.
Yes, but I got a
banana. That's interesting.
Bill, I got to watch the carbs. So if you're dealing with the last dollars someone's ever going to spend or send to their family or the church or the charity, or the children, etc., that's important. You better treat it like a professional sport.
Right.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Well, your concept was, too, in the speech, the second part of it, as you get older, you need less dollars because of your energy.
Well, if you hear on the news, and my industry, I'm sorry to say I can't stand, they come up with the buzzword, inflation is going to eat up dollars. But on the human energy portion of the thing, there's a phrase out there that is scaring retirees and seniors. You're going to outlive your money. Typically not. The reason being, you have a certain amount of money, and you retire at 65. Okay? You're going on the trips. You're going to see the kids in Florida, or you're moving to Florida. You're coming back to Michigan to see the grandkids. You go there at Christmas time. You stay for New Year's to take care of the grandkids. You're doing more. Now, you have a certain amount of human energy when you're 65, and your accounts go up a little bit. Okay, now you turn 70, you're doing a little bit less, which means you're spending more. Maybe you're going at Christmas time, but you're not staying for New Year's, and Thanksgiving they can come see you. But what's going on? Your human energy is less, your accounts continue to grow. Okay, 75, 80, all the kids are coming to see you. In fact, you're not going back there because it's too cold in the winter anyway, so you're going to stay in Florida. See what I mean here?
Right.
And what are you going to do with all that money? That's what I'm wondering about.
You know what? You just pinned my mom to a T, and my uncle. My uncle's 94, great health, but he's done real well in his life. My mom's done well too.
Right.
But I've watched them do the same thing. They've got this fixed amount of income coming off their properties and their incomes, and they don't spend it hardly at all.
Right.
And I mean, they live in their house, and my sister actually lives with my mom, but it works out well. And they come and visit, but we take care of her, my mom, and she just doesn't have much expense.
Yeah.
And she's healthy too. Yeah. She's kept herself.
So there's a certain
physically
point.
very healthy.
Quit trying to grow money, because there's going to be enough out there.
Yeah.
And if you have all this money, what are you going to do when you're in the nursing home? Going to buy the most expensive tennis balls for your walker? Right. That's one of Tom's lines.
But no, my uncle is 94, and he stayed. He really planned well, and he still has a good quality of life. Yeah.
We're living longer, and that's one of the scares. Is you're going to have more money. Yeah. Now, one thing that is going to go up is the cost. Medical costs. Women live longer, and medical costs are going to be more. So we plan for all that. One thing you never want to interrupt people, our people. You never want to interrupt cash flow. So we make sure their cash flow is good. They have the right percentage of investments, and make sure they have income.
Yeah. One of my rules in running my business, my first rule, especially in design, build, construction, and all the companies that we sort of have, which can be a lot of money moving around, is never run out of money.
Rule number one.
And you can have a lot of money and run out of money.
Yeah.
You can have, I mean, you can run out of money and have money owed to you.
Sure.
It's hard to.
You know, the old line, money isn't everything? You've heard that before. Your health and your family. Money isn't everything. It is everything, though, if you don't have any.
Right.
It is everything.
And in our society, that's one of the elements you have, like the foundation of good health. You don't have to have a lot of money, but you have to have enough money to manage your lifestyle and to do the things you want to do. So we went over, but I really wanted to bring that point. We really went over. So I didn't manage the show well in the first part. We're still going to go into the questions because it didn't work. You have an interesting background. It's hard to do a whole timeline, isn't it? To tell your life in 15 minutes.
I thought it was a little longer. Are we still?
No, we're still recording.
Okay.
I'm recording here, and I'm recording here.
Okay.
It's just going to be more work for me. I never let it go that long.
Well, and you got someone as dynamic as this message, Bill.
And we're going to cut it off.
Longer. You cut off what you need to.
It was really hard. We're going to go right into the questions now, if I can get to them. So that's what's nice if we're taking a few minute pause here.
You need this?
No, I don't need that.
I have a blank one as well.
So I usually have it already up. This interview is going. Everyone's a little different. Yours is way different. But we'll do as many of these as we can, these 4 questions.
Okay.
So what do you use, a Mac or a PC, and what type of smartphone?
I use a PC, and the reason behind it is that my wife, she said, use the PC, that we're interconnected on PC. I'm not a technology guy. I'm one of the baby boomer type that's never evolved with technology. So it works for me.
And I can see your phone.
I have an iPhone.
And you did the right thing, the iPhone. If there's one piece of technology I would tell the baby boomers, just get an iPhone to start with.
I agree.
And then if you got a PC, go to an iPad. And
if they don't get an iPhone, their kids will get them one, and then they'll get them the tablet where they can look at the grandkids, and it's fun for them. It's not that complicated.
Right, and I should know the name of it, but the Touch, which looks just like the iPhone. If you have Wi-Fi in your house, and let's say you don't go out a lot, a senior could just get a Touch and get Skype and do with $3 a month call anybody.
Wonderful.
It's the best value. You don't need a home phone from AT&T. Honestly, that's a good little saving tip right there.
Good.
That's what we've cut the line. So that's sort of one of my passions and areas is getting the baby boomers into the basic technologies.
Basics.
And enjoying them.
I do feel that getting sensory overload, you know this. In the old days, we would go search for information. Now it's bombarding us.
Right. Well, you can have fun. I mean, just somebody to teach you, give lessons from each other. It's not difficult. I say become a consumer of content, of online, of the streaming video, and eventually you'll cut the line to your TV pretty darn fast once you grasp the basics. With the iPhone, a $99 TV and a Wi-Fi in your house, you can do anything.
It's plenty.
That's all you need. You can do computing, and they can add to it if you want to. But that's consumerism, be a consumer.
Sure.
So what are your favorite technologies?
It's going to be my technologies.
I was waiting for you to say pencil and paper. I've had that before.
One of my favorite technologies that I'm glad has happened is the medical technology. Okay, a lot of technology I wish we could do without, but we can't. But my favorite technology is real easy. It's my iPad, and it's called FaceTime.
Oh, FaceTime, right? Yeah. And your phone and your iPad. So you do have the iPad.
I have the iPad.
So you've done the right. One of the tracks that I recommend is what you've done.
Yeah. Now, see, my partner Tom Hakim is in Detroit, and Tom comes out usually each month, does a seminar, so he gets to know these people that we're working with. They follow up with Patrice and I in the office. Patrice is also a licensed financial consultant.
That's your wife.
My wife.
Right.
And very good one, much better than me. So with Tom in Detroit, we need to communicate with our clients. You'll come into an office visit, let's say at our office, and we'll have Tom live right there going over the case, getting to know people, and it's just like having him there. It makes it a lot easier.
So very good. The iPad is your favorite technology, which is good. So what is your favorite quote?
Favorite quote? I wrote down two.
Okay.
I'm going to give you one. I leap from my cot excited, while failure sleeps yet another hour. And that's from a book, Think and Grow Rich.
Really? I didn't know that
Dale
was
Carnegie.
Think and Grow Rich, but you get up early, basically.
I get up early.
That's what it sounds like.
I love getting up before everybody else does, and I get a lot done in the morning. Now, in the late afternoon or evening, not quite as productive as I used to be, but back to the health thing, where you have to stay healthy to stay solid with this business.
When do you like to work out?
We work out, and it's scheduled on our schedule, technology-wise. Patrice, make sure we work out 3 days a week, minimum. Okay. Certain days when Tom's in town, I'll miss a day, but we have to. It's not like that I like to work out.
So what time of day do you work out?
Usually about 4 o'clock.
You know, I used to love to work out in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. I still do, but I love the afternoon workouts. It's sort of relaxing, takes you down. That's if you're not going back to work.
Right.
Well, I'll go back to work actually after a workout.
Yeah, typically no. We have a real routine, and a lot of our clients are not working, so we see them in the mornings, early afternoon, hit the gym, right, and just family time from there.
There have been a lot of studies that show that people get up earliest actually do best on finances, with their finances over a lifetime.
Yeah, I've studied all that.
It's a good habit. It's one of some of the top 10 habits. So
I got that going for me.
Favorite books and author?
Favorite book? I would Robert Kiyosaki is one.
Rich Dad
with
Poor
Rich Dad Poor, the whole series.
Uh-huh.
And I studied that when I went from a physical therapist to this business. And excellent job if you apply it. A lot to it. There's, as you know, as a business person, you got to have things down. By far, my favorite book is The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. Just an awesome book. I probably give that book out a couple times a month.
The Traveler's Gift. I'll have that linked on our website, Timelines of Success.
I'm going to get you a copy.
As long as your site will be linked too. That's
wonderful.
Good. Very good. So driving on, we've taken out the next question, which we used to ask, what's the best advice? Because we're going to tie that all in together, tying together. So tying it together, when you're not working, when you're not studying finances or meeting with clients, what do you like to do?
Well, I was talking about my routine, our routine. We're done, typically early afternoon. Off to the gym. Home. I love home. I'll admit it, I like TV late at night. It's just relaxing, brainless thing just to watch and see what else is going on there. And after I see some of the things, particularly the news, I feel pretty good about myself. I rate my day every day on 1 to 10. And
well, that's good. You do evaluation at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
That's really good. That's another technique that's really important.
Rate your day, make course corrections, and also I plan my day the night before daily.
That's one of the top 10 habits. Tom Corley, who we interviewed earlier, who's coming back on, who's going to be on Success.
Yeah.
And those are some of the top 10. You know, also, so I've heard journaling. Do you ever journal, write down, keep a journal of your days?
I still do.
You still keep a journal?
Yeah. Well, It's not a journal. It's called SOAP notes that you do in medicine: subjective, objective, assessment, and plan.
But you keep track of it. You keep
regularly. Yeah, particularly with clients.
That's good.
And personal stuff. So we get home after the gym. Patrice is like a world-class cook, and we like to be in the kitchen.
You have some hot sauce.
And we make we have to show that.
That's a hobby right there. Patrice, I love the hot sauce.
And the other passion we have is gardening.
Table, yeah.
Gardening, and Patrice made that hot sauce. She's just an awesome cook.
I am a connoisseur of hot things. I ate the hottest wings in Nevada this year in the contest.
Did you?
In the wings contest. I got
Well,
really sick.
we grew.
I love it.
We grew accidentally grew a habanero, and she put some on the grill the other day.
Oh, sounds good.
And no, it was not good. It was way too hot. You might have liked it. So we like gardening.
Accident. Anything on the grill hooked in with meats, yeah.
Yeah, so we grow a lot of our stuff, and we give a lot of. I live in a retirement community, Toscana retirement community. It's 500 houses, 55 and older, gated community.
Where do you live up?
In Sparks.
Sparks. Okay.
Right around the corner from Ray.
Interesting. Got ya. Yeah, that's. I
Ray
got to introduce myself to that community, that area. I got to see it.
Great place.
Because Ray loves it out there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some really interesting people out there.
Very.
Really,
and I've talked to you about it earlier. I've always enjoyed being around people older than me.
Very successful people in those.
Successful.
Sparks.
And they're
Reno
go-getters
gets
out
hot
there.
because we got Sparks.
Good one, Bill.
I always try to throw in something at the end because I came to Reno because of the mountains, the hills, the creeks, and the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wanted to do this my whole life. I fished my whole life. My family's from Bishop in the 1800s.
Wow.
And Bishop's a little too remote.
Yeah.
It's in California. Plus, it's still in California.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good things about Nevada. But I always like to do a commercial for this area. What do you think is the top reason to move here?
Everything you described.
Taxes, too. No state
Taxes
income
as
tax.
well. I was going to get to that because I'm always talking about money. I came here by accident. I had a busy practice in California with 30 advisors.
We needed to get. Well, you sort of came because your company was down. No, you started.
That was physical therapy.
ahead of time.
The finance is always doing well. It's a long story to that because things changed in 2008. But I was very successful when I first met Tom and got his guidance in California. Now, a couple companies that liked us and how we were doing with their clients said, we have a need for you in Reno. Mm-hmm. Can you go up there and
meet
with some
was
clients? This is 5 years ago.
That was right before that was after the crash,
Mm-hmm.
2007 and 8. Interesting time to come. Good time to buy.
And these are very good companies that were strict with their advisors, and if they weren't servicing their agents, they would get rid of them and have somebody take over. Well, they liked what we did in California, and they said, can you go to Reno? And I said, no. I mean, I did. You know what I said to them? I thought, I don't want to go up to dirty Las Vegas.
Oh, no.
Well, I came up here, and I said, okay, I'll get a dive hotel for a weekend, and I'll meet a few clients and see what comes of it. I stayed at the Pepper Mill. I had a coupon for $30. They put me in a suite.
Right.
The first night, I did a penny slot at $100.
That's a good sign.
So I liked it right away. The first client was in Gardnerville. So I had to drive an hour, and this is right about this time of year. And I said, this place is nice.
It's gorgeous. It's always gorgeous.
Coyote. There's no traffic like the Bay Area.
Oh, no. They talk about the spaghetti bowl. That's like a good day.
Yeah, this
spaghetti
was
bowl
awesome.
is like when the 580 and 80
like for 10 minutes,
cut across.
big deal.
But it's nothing compared to the
up here. There's no traffic compared to that.
237 or something like that.
Yeah, I got to go through Minden,
yeah. Carson
City. The last clients were in Reno and Sparks, and I was anxious coming back the next weekend.
Yeah.
I did, and within 6 months, downsized the practice, gave most of my clients to my California partners, and we started up here cold.
We've gone through that with the real estate. We still have the office in Modesto, but it's tough. It's tough to relocate, but you did well.
It's a challenge, and
that's
I'll
going to have
them.
to be another story. We're going to have to invite you back, how you transition from one place to another and be successful.
Well, it was. I'll tell you that the bottom line is having Patrice as organizing everything other than me meeting with people. She is really great at structuring things and the staff.
So now we're going to get to the most important question from this unique timeline, because we've barely touched your timeline because it's so interesting, some of the things you do with your financial consulting. And those 3 basic lessons that we just taught people, basically the concept of longevity and the money and the way to think to make you feel better.
Sure.
The other thing is the idea of saving and not taking high risk, but building up slowly.
Sure.
We really need to apply it to their businesses. A lot of people who we interview have businesses, entrepreneurs. It's a little different, but they can apply some of the same principles.
Yes.
So without further ado, this is the most important question. For that listener, we call them the timeliner, for that timeliner out there who's listening in today, what is the most important takeaway from this interview? What wisdom can you tell them in a couple of
I would say, I learned this line a while ago, tell the truth and tell it a lot. I would say helping other people is about the best way to live. And if you can get yourself in a position, applied to my field, if you can help someone with just a little thing, we don't have a minimum investor with our company. If they have an issue or they want to do something with us, we'll sit down with them. Treat everybody the same. And you get the small clients, but all of a sudden 2 weeks later you get to work with grandma, and it all turns out the same. Overall, I would say the message here, as far as my business goes, is get back to the basics, simplify, because there is so many complex things out there. There's 9,000 financial products, and they're all good. We started out many, many years ago with 500 or 600 mutual funds. There's 11,000 now, and they're all around the same, in my opinion. Simplify. Don't get greedy. Keep what you have fun. And with our clients, we encourage them to have fun and enjoy their lives. Take that trip. Take the kids to Disney World. Have a good time with your life. Because if you, Tom could write a book, and I could too at this point, of people that waited. Should I retire and get another $40 a month in retirement per month by waiting? Should I wait to take that trip? Should I wait to go see the grandkids one more time? Go out and enjoy your life, because if you're on the right path, things are going to work out the way they're supposed to anyway.
Right. Everything has a place and time. That's a very good way to finish up.
Thank you.
How can we get a hold of you?
Our office is here in downtown Reno. I call it the financial district, where all the big banks are on Virginia. We're at 200 South Virginia on the 8th floor of the Wells Fargo building.
You can't miss it, downtown.
Can't miss it. Go to the 8th floor, and they'll take you
Big Wells Fargo building.
Yeah, with the new letters now, it looks even better.
And you can park down below as guest parking, right?
That's a good point. We had problems with that, because the last thing you want to do is have somebody not have parking that's coming in with some very important decisions. Right. So we've selected, we have reserved spots 11 through 19 for our clients to come and park. So we make it
for
easy.
Your clients, right?
Yeah.
That's good. And they have a person in that area.
We have a guard.
In that area. Yeah, I've seen it. And that's a nice building, nice facility. Wow.
Very nice. We have a beautiful office. We have 2 offices up there in a large conference room. Our phone number is 686-2413.
686-2413.
686-2413.
Correct. Yeah. We said it twice. You'll need time to copy that down, because most people listen to the show. Some will go online to the website to pull all this information.
Yeah.
And then some will see it on YouTube and other sources.
Yeah. And then we have a website, which is hakimfinancial.com. HAKIM financial.com.
HakimFinancial.com. And you probably Google that too and find it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Put Reno after it.
Yeah, I saw they did some new additions to it when we popped it up this morning.
That's good. So we're all finished up. I thank you for coming on to the show. We're going to talk for a few minutes. For those who want to transition from either the podcast or the Stitcher Radio or any of the other radio elements, you can before it gets edited. I weren't many mistakes. We just went a little over.
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, we had fun though.
We're normal. Well, I mean, we're human.
Right. That's true. In radio, you don't catch it because it just goes on, and they don't record it. Very seldom do you get playback radio. Sometimes you do.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
I love when things happen for a reason. I haven't been to Toastmasters in 6 months. Ray said I had to be there. You came that night, did that little recording, went online, and you invited me for here today. And this is something we're transitioning with our business. Tom's been doing it for 30 years. We're doing it up here in Reno now because we're at the level we can. And it's just really neat. And I've seen you for a year at different events. I said, there's a go-getter, and I typically sway to be around those people a little bit more. So this is great. Very much.
It's been, and I love Reno. I love being here. Just like
I love it here.
It's a great
city.
We
love it here.
It's 200,000 people plus parks.
Yeah.
And it's got everything a city would have.
And you can have a wolf. I have to mention Gus, our wolf, 170-pound McKenzie River Alaskan wolf. I'll show you a picture later.
We're going to leave this in because we should have brought that wolf up in the first portion.
Yeah.
I've got to see this wolf. And different states have different rules.
Yeah.
And it's domesticated, I guess. This is crazy.
Patrice has had him for 30 years, 40 years.
And I've been in Alaska a lot. And I had Akita. I don't know if you're familiar with Akita. Yeah,
similar.
And they're very unique animals in the breeds.
Yeah.
So that's great. Wolf's crazy. We don't want to do around my lab.
Well, you're going to have a challenge. I did get to meet Bill's dog, but Gus is a kindred spirit advisor to me and Patrice as well. So when we have problems, we just ask him. He's 14 now.
Ooh, old.
Senior citizen.
Probably loves going up in the hills.
Not much at this point.
Yeah, he's definitely old.
But he used to.
Well, thank you, Frank. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time, and that's it for this version. Let's pull this off. I shoot for 30 minutes, and we went 43 minutes. That's going to be an extra 45 minutes of editing for me.
I'll take you to lunch.
No, and that's not your fault. But we're still on. Hi out there. I want to show on the back side here. So, Frank, I definitely do not want to mess this up. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go back to our live show here, and we're going to go ahead and put up your site for starters. So we're going to share the screen. We're going to go get your page right here, Hakim, so people can see it. The most important thing when you do this is how you shut it down and park the whole episode. You can lose an episode by shutting it down wrong. And they've got all these tools. And this is newer technology. They don't make it easy. It's kind of weird. I'm seeing. I have to laugh technology because my daughter is sending back replies or sending back.
The youngest?
No, the 14-year-old.
Okay.
She has to leave. My wife is going to Modesto, and then my kids are there, so they're just reminding me of the Modesto trip. Yep, that's another story. She's doing okay. She's actually has done well in California. I wish she'd do the same here. It's hard. It's really hard when you have.
Transitions are hard for kids.
Well, no, not the kids. My wife.
Oh.
When you have a real estate company that you built up over 20 years, and we've had brand new subdivisions I built. I was the vice mayor of the city we lived in.
Vice mayor?
Yeah, I was elected city councilman, and then elected vice mayor in a city of 200,000 this size. Probably could have been mayor at one time. I had a chance to.
Do you want to do that here?
I turned down no, not right now. I've got first things first. I've got the 12 and 14-year-old. My son is grown.
Yeah.
And they're very good in gymnastics. I still love running a business, but I've got to reestablish the business first and get the cash flow on the size. And it can move pretty fast.
I think. Well, I'm.
And then I'll look at politics again.
Yeah, that's great because I know you're good at it. I'm a pretty intuitive guy. You love doing this, and you were great at it.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And you've got some things that other people aren't doing. You've shared with me earlier. I don't see why this couldn't get gigantic.
I think it can. I think it can done right. And what's going to happen, so people can hear out there, and you can tell us to the financial industry or even your industry, we're changing very fast now because of computers, technology, the cloud,
lightning speed,
and this technology. And what's happening is you like to watch TV, but I'm going to show you some tricks afterward. Like I can show them to you now on demand, which you get spoiled on this once you break away. Well, so when I moved here,
we have on demand.
Yeah, and it's really good. The on demand for the cable and either the cable or the dish.
I keep finding new things you can do.
It used to be called Ricochet as the initial tech. No, it wasn't Ricochet, but the technology that allowed you to watch your on demand on your phone. So basically now, even with your subscription, you might want to keep it. You can keep everything on the phone. I'm going to go. We're podcasting, and you can see on our podcast here. But I'm going to give you a demonstration. We're going to go onto the podcast, and by the way, all iPhones are going to have the podcast permanently on there that you can't take it off. Now, the history in 2004, iTunes. The word podcast was coined. Basically, it was just downloading an RSS feed onto a computer and then downloading it into an iPod. And that's how. But the smartphone is changing the technology in the cloud. So here's one of my shows. I'm going to change the logo. But here's my favorite thing to show people. This is actually a podcast. That's last night's news. It comes in at 6 o'clock automatically. It's 21 minutes, no commercials. And you can get it right there. And it's right on my phone. So I like to put that on. That's the first program I put on. I watch Meet the Press. I watch that news almost every night. I watch it with my wife. Sometimes we watch it on the big screen. I can project it up on our big screen because I'm on Apple TV. But now you can go on to your Apple TV. You go into the podcast symbol there, and you can get it just like that off the podcast. So all your media is going online on demand without being broadcast.
Right.
I can't imagine having a local news TV show. I could be doing a news show right now that people would eventually start watching just like that. In Reno with just 2 people. Go out and report the news or anything. I mean, it's just huge. We listen, instead of radio, we listen to a couple of shows at night.
You should talk to Tom about your ideas. I mean, he's an expert on it.
I will.
He's got the TV show People and Money, and he's interviewed John McCain, various.
I'm trying to get John McCain on the show.
Talk to Tom, see if he can hook you up.
In fact, I need to send an email because if you notice on my site, I've got United States Military Academy, the United States Naval Academy, and I've got a challenge to the Naval Academy.
Right.
If you look at my site, I want to show you. Here's my site, and you can see it out there. I actually that may not be shared. You probably have the other site still. Let me pull it up. Not mine, whatever. But anyway, if you go on this site here, Tom Corley, if you go United States Naval Academy, you're going to see a John McCain quote, a joke. That's slow for my system. I usually pop. United States Navy, go Army, beat Navy. But then I'd say, okay, then I give him a hard time. But then that's a quote from John McCain right there.
Wow.
On my page.
Great.
He was his son graduated 3 months after my son graduated from Naval Flight School. And, no, 3 months before, and my son, he actually talked to my son for a couple seconds. Let's walk on the
How
flight
cool.
line.
How old's your son? 28, you
He's
said?
27, going to be 28. A Coast Guard Academy grad, turned down the Naval Academy. John McCain's youngest son went to the Naval Academy and graduated. And then I've got mine. I've done a couple interviews from West Pointers. So you can go back and get those interviews. I'm just developing the website. So it's not fully developed. But, yeah, I'd love to get John McCain. I'll send him it takes time to get those people, and it's a different kind of interview. So anyway, your site, anything you want to talk about your site if we go on your site to finish up?
Not really. It's just
your mission. It's a very nice
it's got
site.
the mission. When we were talking about what do we do, and I've kind of elaborated, it's really consult, advise, and implement. The thing that we do the best is consult, and that means getting a lot of information, not just telling people what to do. Find out what's important to them, then we can advise.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you have a real nice office here, for sure.
Definitely.
I know where you're set up.
Yeah.
What floor are you on?
8th floor.
8th floor. Okay. Wow.
Great view of the pepper mill.
Oh yeah.
I picked
You
that.
see everything.
I picked that office so I could see the pepper mill where I started.
So this is your whole. Actually, you can get a lot of information from this website.
Yes.
We've
redesigned our brochure that's coming out next week. Wish we would have had it for today, but I'll get it to you.
That's okay. You want to hold up your flyer real fast for the camera? Let's go back up and take this off. See, we're still alive here. The key is. Now we'll bring it back to the camera. That's your flyer. And we'll look at that. So if you're in Reno, stop by and say hi.
Please do.
That's what I say to do. And you can contact them online, or if you're thinking about moving to Reno. One thing I do is a lot of times my wife's company will sponsor the backside, First Realty. It's First Realty. And First Realty Pro, basically go to my wife's blog site, which is KarenConrad.com. So Karen can show you the town, and you can show them what's available for your investments.
Yeah.
And why you should come here to save the taxes.
That's very helpful.
And then people can come and visit you.
Yeah. We like people coming out, seeing the office, and
Incline Village, you can live in
Incline Village,
which is nice.
Tahoe. This is a secret.
Oh, it is.
This
is
a secret.
Better than Denver, better than Colorado.
Speaking of traffic, I was in the elevator at the Wells Fargo the other day, and this lady was very flustered. She's an attorney on our floor, and I said, "Well, what's wrong?" And she goes, "Oh, the traffic this morning." I said, "Man, you have no idea. I was in 4 hours a day for 14 years.
Bay Area all the time.
2 hours one way, 2 hours back, and you get used to it."
Yeah, you listen to stuff. That's why a lot of people listen to podcasts now
right.
when they're driving in.
Make use of their time.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
It's getting huge. And still those are younger people, believe it or not, because older people figure it out. Another thing is, we were talking about Harry Dent. He talked about the evolution of technology that people could work remotely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm design, build, construction. You can do all the CAD engineering work from somewhere else.
Right.
You could live up in the mountains. You don't have to live on the site. It's good to go visit the site from time to time.
Yeah.
But you can do a lot of work from remote sites. You need some people forward, but
yeah, you can avoid. There's something about, well, in my business, I'm face to face. I don't have the laptop up and showing them pictures. In our seminar, you won't see one slide. We're just talking with the people, common sense things they've never heard.
I'm going to go watch your seminar.
The next one.
You got to let me put it on one of these just to capture it, maybe.
Yeah, that would be good.
We'll do a live. All we'll do is this and this, none of this other stuff. We'll put up the one line.
Tom will be back out in November, and we'll do it when he's here, because
maybe I can interview him one-on-one.
I think that would be.
That'd be good.
Good. Yeah.
So anyway, from behind the scenes, you'll be able to see this, and if you want to see the detail on a Sunday. We went a little long day. I apologize. It took forever to set up. You got to go see my house.
And your dog.
And my dog.
It was worth it seeing the dog.
The light, and we tried out the light kit here, a little different.
Yeah.
So it's good. Well, Frank, thanks. I'm going to sign off.
Thank you.
One last time, your website. We've got the website, the phone numbers, the contact information. And that's good.
We're there to answer the phone.
Okay, watch this. This is the most important thing.